I didn't set out specifically to make this video, but do you ever just watch a film and feel as if you need to tell someone about it as quick as possible? Well, for me, YouTube is the best way to tell the highest amount of people in the quickest time possible about films that I love. And one such film that I've seen many times before, but I recently rewatched, is Michael Mann's 2009 gangster epic Public Enemies. It stars Johnny Depp as notorious Depression-era bank robber John Dillinger and charts his amazingly quick rise and fall during the summer of 1933 and his death little over a year later on July 22nd, 1934. Depp is simply in his element here, but not in how you think. The Johnny Depp known today, especially in hindsight, is one of an actor known for his extravagant performances as larger-than-life characters in larger-than-life attire. Strangely, this is the same for John Dillinger. The real John Dillinger, as portrayed in the film, was a larger-than-life criminal who wore expensive and eye-catching clothes, whose notoriety got him noticed pretty much everywhere he went. But I believe the reason why Depp melds into the role of John Dillinger so effortlessly is because they share so many personal qualities. Depp was born about 200 miles from Dillinger's actual birthplace and grew up in similar kinds of surroundings. The edge of suburbia mixed with farmland, this strange mix of isolation and city living Depp could identify with. It's no secret that some of Depp's family were criminals or related to criminal activity, with his stepfather spending time in the same prison that Dillinger did. These similarities or coincidences can be seen as merely lucky associations. They don't really provide Depp with a connection to Dillinger, but what I believe is that Depp can absolutely state he 100% can connect to Dillinger with is this sense of rebellion. Depp has always courted this sense of being on the outside. His choice of films and characters, his bohemian-style fashion choices, his excess of drink and drugs and rock and roll, regardless of whether his personality or lifestyle are genuine manifestations of himself or are a created aura to purposely give that impression. Depp, especially around the time the film was made, was the epitome of a mass appeal rebellious spirit, someone who could play the rogue, play the objectively bad person, and yet still make them appealing and empathetic. Public Enemies works so well because Depp plays the lead of John Dillinger. Although another actor could have played Dillinger, I feel it would have been unlikely that they could have captured the same sense of dissidence. Depp is the focal point of the film and one of the reasons I love this film so much. Opposite Depp were two of the biggest names in Hollywood at the time, Marion Cotillard as Dillinger's lover Billy Fichette, and Christian Bale, straight out of his iconic role as Batman in The Dark Knight, as Melvin Purvis, the agent in charge of the manhunt for Dillinger. Although still big names in Hollywood today, Cotillard and Bale's names over the years have lost slightly the star appeal they once had, but at the time they were two of the biggest and most impressive actors working, and they give brilliant performances. I really feel the sense of love and connection between Depp and Cotillard. They share a gentle chemistry that simmers away throughout the whole film. It's never out at the back of your mind that these two people love each other, and you hope that Dillinger can somehow escape his latest predicament in order to find his way back to her. This chemistry eventually boils over in the scene where Billy is arrested and Dillinger has this overwhelming desire to rescue her. The brilliant score by Elliot Goldenthal in this scene adds an incredible intensity and awareness of the amazing loss felt between the two. Christian Bale gives a very understated performance. It's a quiet performance, a performance which kind of went unnoticed at the time. Bale portrays Purvis as a man who is very contained around people, yet passionate about his job. The best scene, in my opinion, which demonstrates this is the scene in jail where Purvis talks to Dillinger. In a scene that is almost to a degree reminiscent of Michael Mann's earlier work, Heat, the cop and the robber get up close and personal with each other to talk. Through most of the encounter, Purvis doesn't really speak much. Instead, he listens to Dillinger, and on the few occasions he does speak, Purvis, unlike Dillinger, doesn't give these quick-witted, smart remarks. Instead, he gives slow, calculated responses, tinged with this sense of superiority and righteousness as a cop who has just caught a dangerous criminal would be. Bale's performance here in this scene, in my opinion, is astonishing. He doesn't feel the need to outshine. With the slightest of looks, Bale tells you everything you need to know about Purvis. He continues this played-down sense of morality and self-contained self-consciousness throughout the film, and although you never really find out much about Purvis's character outside of the FBI, you know so much about him. Quick note here though, in real life Dillinger and Purvis never met or talked together, although they were supposedly in the same room together in the famous footage of Dillinger shortly after he was arrested and placed on the arm of the shoulder of Indiana prosecutor Robert Estill. Most of what I've been saying so far has mostly been about the cast, but so much praise as to why I love this film is because of director Michael Mann. The only film I'd seen of Mann's before Public Enemies was Collateral, and I loved Collateral's look. Its feel. There's this impression of a pristine, clean, high-intensity direction to Collateral. The film takes its time to build up this sense of power, of vigour, and isn't afraid to hold longer shots than what you would expect in some of the action sequences. I was so impressed at the such tightly controlled, deliberate look of the film. So initially, upon my first viewing of Public Enemies, I was somewhat disappointed and distracted by the handheld camera style throughout the film. It wasn't until years later that I discovered it was the first film that Mann had filmed digitally, and it did seem to affect, at least to me, the frame rate of the film, the somewhat uneasy on the eye style of this quick handheld camera. I mean, there were times that I was begging in certain scenes for a tripod to be used, but I have to admit the handheld style camera has grown on me over the years as I've rewatched it. There's something uneasy yet beautiful in its less than graceful style. These scenes of wide open still country juxtaposed with this shaky camera seems to create to me this idea of a real America, of a lifestyle of constantly moving and never being able to stand still. In crowded scenes, this handheld camera style is used to brilliant effect to provide very full close-ups where you can really study and see the emotions on the faces of actors. It's also used to create this feeling of being surrounded almost, unsure and unable to tell where the next big threat is coming from, further creating tension throughout the film. Yet another idea I have about this handheld style is because it seems to add plausibility to the idea that John Dillinger really could, for a time anyway, as he did in real life, disappear into a crowd. But as such massive element of why I am such a fan of Public Enemies are simply the amazing and heart-pounding shootout scenes. They are so well handled. The Battle of Little Bohemia, as shown in the film, is beyond incredible. It doesn't really quite match the iconic scale of the famous downtown LA shootout from Heat, but what Mann really captures here in Public Enemies with all the shootouts, but especially with the Little Bohemia battle, is just how dangerous and unpredictable yet strangely exhilarating the life of a 1930s outlaw could be. This camera style feels as if Mann is allowing us to get into the heads of the outlaws. They're always moving, they're always unpredictable. It's the antithesis of his Heat shootouts. In Heat, his criminals are experts with military precision. In Public Enemies, his criminals are uncontrolled, unmanageable, and his filmmaking style throughout reflects that. Plus, to me, it's so unique. I mean, name me another film set in the 30s or even earlier that near exclusively uses this handheld style. It just hasn't been done before. It grounds almost a sense of reality to the film. Unlike the film that Dillinger sees just before he dies, it isn't melodramatic. It all feels so much real. And mentioning the end, of course, I have to talk about Dillinger's death scene. My God, what a scene. I fucking love it. And again, such a huge element of the scene is Elliot Goldenfall's score. Those gentle woodwind melodies that morph into a somber violins before becoming a massive crescendo of violins and brass instruments is simply transfixing. It's a glorious score. I listen to it on YouTube regularly. The tension in the scene is malleable. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. Every edit adds another layer of intensity and suspicious and this feeling that death soon approaches. But strangely for me, one of the most moving elements of Dillinger's death scene isn't Dillinger. Of course, I'm greatly moved by the fact that Dillinger dies and his last words are for Billy, but something which I find so impactful of the scene is that Melvin Purvis, it's just Melvin Purvis himself. He's unable to push through the crowd enough to reach Dillinger in time to shoot. It almost feels like his destiny, his task, has been failed. He's caught Dillinger, but now being unable to fire the lethal shot, the look on his face is one of defeat, of feeling that he is, for lack of a better word, a loser in this game. Again, this is down to Bale. I think without him specifically, this feral sense of this dog versus dog chasing each other just doesn't work throughout the whole film. Honestly, I don't know why I made this video. I just think Public Enemies is such a great film. I'm reading the book by Bryan Burrough, so currently I'm getting really obsessed with the 1930s criminal era because it's just so fascinating. I just wanted to mention Public Enemies, not only for its portrayal of the 1930s, but because it's such a great film, which isn't mentioned very much in the conversation around great gangster or great crime films. It's just one of my favorites. I do love it. Yeah, so if you like that video, just, I just wanted to make it. I just wanted to see what other people think of it. What do people think about Public Enemies? I'd love to see your comments down below. I'd love to talk to you about it. Yeah, I hope your day's going well. I hope you subscribe, and thanks very much for clicking on this video. Thanks a lot.